So Diane, I'm assuming that you want to connect this piece to this piece so it folds up. Is that correct? I don't see the responses, so you'll have to tell me, Brian. Normally when I make a book with multi-pages, I make them so that they all connect on one side or the other or on the bottom. But in this case, your clouds have different places you want them to be. One option would be to take this piece and flip it and attach it here and make an accordion fold. You weld this together. So this would be a valley fold, and this would be a mountain fold, and they would fold over each other. But this is bigger than this, so it would obscure this, so we don't want that. So my other solution would be to make a duplicate of this center piece here and attach the bottom to it by welding it and making this the inside page, and then letting the smaller piece fold over on the outside. So am I on the right track there, Diane? For example, if I separated this out of this, and if I weld these two together and then glue this onto this, so I glue this here so they're all as one piece, or better yet, make this back piece yellow so that sun is yellow, and cut this piece off here, then I could actually have a yellow background and then paste this cloud color here and weld this onto this. So when it's folded, I'm going to move it up. When it's folded, it'll go up here, and you can weld it to where you want it to be positionally over the other clouds. So once you get the piece lined up, I'll flip it back, and when these two are overlapping and you select both and weld, then you have a whole nother piece here that will glue on here. Then we fold it up. This piece, bigger piece, folds first, and the little piece folds over, so that you have, in essence, you have this kind of effect where the pages are all folding in on each other. So before I show you how I did this, am I on the right track, Diane?
Yes, so she says, yes, I like the idea of adding it to another cloud, or excuse me, add it to the other cloud, but then my book has to be smaller because I can't get a large size piece of paper. I think that's when you were doing the accordion fold on the edge there.
Yeah, well, even so, if you look at this, this is a 12 by 12 page. It's already going to take a bigger mat and a bigger piece of paper to, but the accordion fold won't work very well. I tried it, and let me show you why. If you did an accordion fold, you wouldn't be able to position these pieces the way you want them to, even if you did have a big enough piece of paper. So I just kind of cut these all apart so we could get a visual on it. If we have the accordion fold, this would be flipped here and it would be welded there, and this would go here, but this would obscure this, so I'd have to put the bigger one here and weld it, and then this one here to weld it. So how would that look? I'm going to flip this over. I'm a real visual person here. I have to kind of see what it's supposed to look like when it's done. And this piece, if it were folded over, would go here next to this piece, which looks okay. Looks okay to me. This piece would be folded here. I think this piece would be higher. And then the bottom piece, you could fold it up either before or after. I think I would kind of fold it first, then fold the sides, fold this side, and then flip this. Now that would work. If you wanted to make it all so the pieces all fit on one piece of paper, you could add little tabs to them and just fold on the tab. Put this down here. But you probably want them all out of different colors anyway so that they have a more interesting look. Somebody on the forum suggested that maybe you wanted something like this. Well, this isn't a book, but you see how the clouds are overlapping in different ways. You could still do that with a fold line, get that kind of effect. So if I wanted to make the, just having these, again, every time I do this, I have to flip them. I could probably make these two fit on one page, so I could just weld. And what I do is I select both and type
She did find 17-inch paper, she said.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so I could weld those, but let's say I wanted to do it with 12-inch paper. And I weld that together. Then I could make a tab on this one. So if I wanted this to fit. Then I say I wanted to weld the bigger one to it. Yeah, I would want to do the bigger one. I want to change the position. So I would cut these apart first. So let me undo this. It wants to undo everything, every little thing that I did. All right. I ran out of undos. Okay, so I want the bigger piece to be the one that's on the inside. So you could do it either way. If you've got a long piece and you can cut this all on one, then we want to make a duplicate of this. So I'll show you how I did that. I hold the Control and Shift and drag down so I have a copy. Then I'll send it to its own layer, and I'll just hide the others for now so that they're out of the way by hiding their layers. And I'm just working with this. And my goal is, let's cut this apart. If you have your original pieces, then you don't have to do this. But what I do is I click on the eraser tool and set it for a 0.25, very thin. Make sure inverse eraser is not selected. Hold the Control key and position my mouse. It really will help to zoom in a little bit more. Position my mouse right over where I want to cut. The plus sign right over that V. Hold the Control key to drag straight and get it exactly over the bottom V, and then release the mouse, release the Control key, and I've separated that there. Then I'll do the same here. I'm going to hold the Control key, position my mouse so it's right between those and so that it will go through the V, hopefully, and through the other V all the way to the other side. Let's see if I did it. Break it, or split should work. It didn't want to, I don't think I got it all the way. I'll do a little fatter, maybe a 0.5. And this will help if I don't have snapping on. That worked that time. And split. I'm going to turn off the snapping.
Julie, they are split.
They are? Okay. Yeah, it looks split now. First time I did this, that particular line I had to do very carefully. And now I do this one, and again I'm going to take it to 0.25 because I don't want to get rid of too much of this. Hold the control key, click, and drag, and get it over right both of those V's, and then click on the arrow, select them, and split. So now I zoom back out, and I have all the pieces separated. You might not have to separate this, but if you wanted to get them all on their own pages, I mean all on one page, you could do it this way. So if I were wanting to do that really long one, I would have to at least split this off and this off. Where's the other? Oh, my other piece. I want to show all. So this is the original. And this is the extra little piece. So if I don't have enough paper to make it really long, then what I want to do is make a tab on it. And again, I want the bigger piece to be attached here and the smaller piece. This is the one. I keep getting my pieces mixed up. Seems like I'm missing one. Oh, I welded it here. That's where the extra piece went. So I'll cut it off too. I think. Might not have got it that time. No. Helps to zoom in. Okay, so let's say this is the piece that needs to be, I'm going to flip it. This needs to be here. And the other piece needs to be on the other side. So we take this piece and hold the shift to select both and type B for bottom to line them up at the bottom. And then you can just tap the right arrow key. I'm going to just select this one and slightly overlap it. And then this other piece wouldn't have to be separated, and the bottom wouldn't have to be separated. So we're just going to take off this piece and put this piece on instead, and then take this piece and weld it on here. But since we don't have enough room, then I'm going to make a little tab. So to do that, I'll just click on the basic shapes and get a square, double click, and just make a narrow tab to add to the cloud here. Send that to the top so that when I weld, it will be blue. And then I'll have a little tab so that when I cut this out, I can just glue this onto this edge of the cloud. So I don't need this piece, but I need these. So I'm just going to trim this. split. I don't want that one. And I want this one. I'm going to line the bottom up with a line here, so this one could be on that line. And weld those. And then I have this piece here that will be glued on. And then I can fold. You can draw in the score lines if you want, or if you don't need to score it and want to hand score it, you can. But this will glue onto there. Then this folds up, this folds in, and this folds, a mountain fold, folds back, and you have your piece like that. So that's one way to do it. The other would be to take this piece and I kind of like making this yellow for the sun. And then instead of having that tab, I position it where I want it and I'll flip it and arrow down. And if you didn't want it to be yellow, you could just cut it out separately, and you have enough overlap here where you could actually just glue it on. But if you want to make it all the same color, then you weld. We have this piece here, and you wouldn't have a little tab on it. Now, let's undo that because that's not what we wanted. We wanted this big piece. I don't have a duplicate of it. We have one over here. Copy, Control-Shift-V, paste. So I'll flip it, arrow down, and weld it, and then I glue it right here. So this will fold up, this will fold in, this one will fold in, and then the one that's underneath will fold up. So it makes your basic card sturdier by doubling this, and then you have all the multiple layers. So you end up with the effect that you want. Like that. And you can line them all at the bottom. So this you could even go up a little higher, I think. And you could decide which layer you wanted showing by which layer you folded first. So I don't want that showing, so I would fold it up kind of like that.